I died twice the first time I went through the tunnel of light and stood in front of God's throne. The second time I went through the tunnel of darkness and stood in front of Satan's throne. I was blind and could not see him, but I knew where I was and I knew who he was. I remember saying, "But I love you," and holding my arms out, and with that I was cast out of hell. I am a witness. If I say I saw a yellow car, it means I saw a yellow car. A lawyer can pound his fist on the table screaming the car was red as many times as he likes, but that does not change my testimony. If I say I saw a yellow car, I saw a yellow car. What did I see? Love is the most powerful force in this universe. Everything God created, He created with love. God is love. It is not possible to kill love. Jesus proved that on the cross. You cannot kill love. I don't care how much that guy hates you. If you love him, he can never ever defeat you. Fear only exists in the absence of love. People that love everything fear nothing. How do you know someone loves you? They feed you. You were born instinctively knowing your mother loved you because she fed you. She took care of you. She protected you. We are born into this world instinctively knowing how to love each other. We have to be taught how to hate each other. Love is something you do. Jesus left us with just one commandment: love each other. If everybody followed that one commandment, we would all be living here together in the spirit of peace and love right here on earth, just as it's done in heaven. There you go, now you know the truth. Satan says I'm infected with a virus he calls the truth. That virus has a name: love. I intend to infect every living creature on this planet with it, and there is nothing anyone can do to stop me.
Story 2.
I remember many things from the coma and what I believe was a near-death experience. I recall floating down what felt like an endless room or tunnel. It was completely dark, and I could hear the doctors and nurses. It was pandemonium, but I felt calm, and my body was weightless. I also vaguely remember talking to a white light entity with a very soft, nearly high-pitched voice. When I woke up, it felt like this had happened months ago. I don't remember our conversation, but she was asking me a lot of questions. The memories from the coma are harrowing and scary. I was in a different reality that looked like a hospital after a massive tornado. There were very scary people who just stared at me. A man took his life in front of everyone, and it felt like the scary people were intimidating me to join him. It was absolutely terrifying. They had great difficulty waking me up from the coma, and for 2 days I was in a vegetative state. I am beyond happy to be alive and feel like a miracle, but it all scares me so much. Has anybody experienced anything similar? Thank you. This NDE was shared by Zuzana Forsythe-Kierkegaard.
I was dancing in my room with the window open looking at the moon. I turned away, then turned back, and the moon was gone. Instead, I saw an arm with a blue jacket, pointy fingernails, and thick black arm hair. I peeked out the window and said, "Wow, you have a big head." The picture showed 2 hands holding a scythe in what looked like a cloud ship. In the cloud ship there were 2 heads. One looked like an alien and the other resembled Hellraiser, who was putting a revolver in his mouth. In a near-death experience, I met a blue man wearing a hat with symbols like circumflex on it. He was holding a city with a wall, and on that wall was a guy blowing a trumpet. After he blew the trumpet, a red being with horns and a staff appeared, scaring him off. The red being turned and gave me the finger. I saw what I think was hell. It was all dark, with a giant volcano and rivers of lava. In the distance, I could see a man being crucified. Upset, I screamed, "Let my people go!" An army started coming down the volcano toward me. A UFO flew in, landed, and 4 beings got out with pistols, pointing them at the army. A giant dragon flew out of the volcano, swallowed the army, and flew off. A spotlight illuminated the man being crucified, proving he was gone. Next, I was falling from the sky and landed in front of a church. A man came down the stairs and said, "Oh good, you're the first. Come, I must show you the things that must take place. I will teach you, then you will teach them." "Oh, they're here. Why don't you go downstairs and meet them?" I floated down the stairs and one by one angels appeared. They were all black and void of any facial features. We walked together back upstairs to the man. Next thing I knew, I was in a library in the clouds, walking through not under my control. In a back room, I was given a white stone. As I was leaving, a lady reached into my pocket, stole the stone and raised it in the air, yelling, "I got it!" I ran off and found myself back at the church in a VIP concert hall up on the top rafters. The man handed me something, but I said nope, and handed it to someone I assumed was Jesus. I zoomed to the back wall and saw an image of him with his hands out, throwing stuff into the crowd, which was going wild. Next, I was at the front gate of the church, blocking people from getting through. Finally, Satan appeared, backing me up to the top of the stairs. I closed the door, but he started breaking through. Surrounded by his followers, he taunted me, saying, "You wouldn't hurt Jesus, would you?" I replied, "Oh, so you're Jesus, huh? If you were, you would push me." And he sat on the railing, putting his feet over. I nudged him forward, but then pulled him back quickly. The next thing I knew, I was on a dirt road, charging at Satan and his followers. Suddenly, I was in a bright building, seeing people reunited with their loved ones, all in deep conversation, hugging and holding each other. I appeared in front of a woman who said, "We know all about you, your blood, your disease, the rod in your back. Do you want to hear your outcome? Well, you're innocent, honey," and she laughed. My whole life flashed before my eyes. Next, I was back at the church, which had turned into a huge city with a bright gate. The man whispered in my ear, "Don't worry, they will never find us here." I awoke to Psalm 130, verse 7, written on my marker board in blue. During a second botched unalive attempt, I ended up in a coma in darkness. I heard a man's voice saying, "Hello? Do you know why you can hear the sound of my voice? Because an intercessor is nearby. Do you understand?" Then I heard a woman begging the man for more time to keep me. "Oh, please, 5 more minutes, 3 more minutes, 2 more minutes." The man responded, "He must go back." This NDE was shared by Gregory Farrell and happened in 2020.
I died on September 27th, 2021 of a pulmonary embolism causing cardiac arrest. The doctor told me I was going to die. He said my only hope was to administer a TPA, but it could kill me just as fast of a brain bleed. The last thing I remember from the physical world was the nurse saying she has no pulse. Her lips are turning blue. We're losing her. The minute my breath stopped, my spirit began to travel. I remember asking what this was and was told it was a wormhole. It was dark, but I was surrounded by hundreds of white swirling lights, like orbs. It was so peaceful and euphoric. I had been in so much pain from fighting to breathe and the sharp pains of cardiac arrest, but as soon as I died, that instantly disappeared. I arrived in a large, dark, vast space, what I like to think might have been heaven's waiting room. I remember asking what God was and was told that God is an omnipresence. I did not know what that was, or a wormhole for that matter. It was only after waking up the next day in ICU and they took me off the respirator that I could ask for my phone and Google these things. In actual time, it was 2 minutes. In that realm, I don't believe time or space actually exists. All of a sudden, large dark clouds started to roll in, which I believe was the breath flowing back into my body. That these worlds are parallel and only a thin veil separates us. I believe if I would have stayed dead in body, that perhaps that is where I would have seen the light to cross over, or perhaps loved ones, which I believe were the orbs showing me the way home. That was my NDE. This NDE was shared by Sharla Brown and happened in 2021.